am Fokolo Emmanuel Solomon. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I'm very glad this afternoon to represent the youth in this particular room in advancing the voice of the need to protect the health systems in our continent, but also advancing the agenda of protecting our lives. I'd love to start this way. Health systems have a direct implication on life. I believe that Dr. Wahome has amplified this greatly. Health systems have a direct implication on what kind of life that we need to have. I'd like to ask you to consider or ask yourself, what kind of lifespan do I want to live for the future African child? What kind of life expectancy do I want to live for the African child of tomorrow? Do I want to live an Africa where people only live probably for 30 years, for 40 years, or 50 years? Or do I want to live in Africa where people actually, even at 80 years, are very strong and are able to go about doing whatsoever they do because of a strong and sovereign health system? But with what Dr. Wahome has presented and what is actually happening, if we do not rise up to our feet, my suspicion is that we shall have a continent where, unfortunately, people do not live to see their 50th birthday or their 60th birthday. If we do not rise up to the occasion, we shall have a continent where, unfortunately, our disease burden shall be higher than the life expectancy, or the percentage of those who are in hospital, unfortunately, will be higher than those who are actively going about their day-to-day work. This decision to protect the health and the sovereignty of the health of the Africans is actually within your pens, some of the legislatures within that iPad, within that email, within your voice, to speak up for the sake of the future of the African continent. From time immemorial, we have seen it is actually possible for a certain group of people to be wiped off the face of the earth. I believe you remember that there are people who have been talked about in history that used to be there in their thousands or their millions, but unfortunately today are extinct. Previously, extinction of certain races probably happened by war, actual war of fighting. But today, extinction can actually happen because of something that has been created in a laboratory somewhere, and if not checked, can actually come into the society. The good thing this particular conference has happened on a day after a number of people who were involved in COVID-19 have come out to start speaking the truth. And I think we should thank God that people like Dr. Wahome have been vindicated recently for whatsoever they were speaking. You remember, some people called them all sorts of names for advocating for health sovereignty, advocating for the fact that we need some more information about these vaccines that people are meddling around. We just need some more information about it. And people were restraining themselves from releasing this information, which is actually important. But I thank God that today, Dr. Wahome and many others who have been advocating for health sovereignty or true information being brought out on aspects of vaccines and everything else can be vindicated and were right. I hope they will be remembered in the near future for being those who stood firm to protect the African race. I would also love to state, specifically picking up from where my South African brother stopped, on the issue of the pandemic treaty.
You have 1 minute, huh?
Thank you. On the issue of the pandemic treaty, we can actually lose true sovereignty if we choose to sign or to ratify this treaty. I hope you know there are some countries on the African continent that, unfortunately, the moment the treaty is signed, it directly becomes law automatically. Some countries are not like Uganda, where there would be a certain process to be taken for ratification. Now imagine for such countries, if they have a minister sitting in a certain row and unfortunately they append the signature onto the pandemic treaty without testing the truth within the pandemic treaty, they would have sold the whole nation. So I agree with all those who have stated that it is actually important that we create laws within our countries that would promote the idea of consultation on every convention that is brought up around health, every health convention, so that the likes of Dr. Wahome can come up and speak and show their expertise or test the credibility of that particular treaty or that particular convention that is being rooted for. So that people like you and me, or maybe even those who are not in parliament or are unable probably to get into such a space, can still give their particular voice or give the idea on how they want a certain direction to be taken, or if they actually want to enter a certain treaty.
Thank you, Solomon.
Lastly, just like we see the United States withdrawing from the World Health Organization, I think it is time for the African continent, truthfully, to start having a conversation on whether they should stay in the World Health Organization or withdraw from the World Health Organization. The time is now. Otherwise, if we continue being on tables where we are pressed on the wall and not given an opportunity to give direction on where we want to go, I worry that we may be in for a huge trap, and we do not want to get into that trap. So the time is now. May I request that when we go back to our countries, we start having these crucial and pertinent conversations on if we actually want to continue being part of these regional blocks like the World Health Organization that is actually global, where we do not have an opportunity to give our alternative.
Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless you.